Welcome to the Game Dungeon. Today we're looking at Darkspore, an action RPG. Now I need to get this out of the way. This is an online-only game published by Electronic Arts. But at the time of this video, it is still playable. But a lot of horror movies start off where everything's fine too. In any event, this episode has some twists, and I have a surprise ending for you that I doubt anyone's expecting. So let's get going. Okay, despite just giving a disclaimer on this game, I have to give another one right away. I have beaten this game. Now you might think, so what? What does that have to do with anything aside from being thorough? Well, Darkspore is interesting in that there is absolutely no backwards progression in this game. I'll try and explain this. It kind of blew my mind actually. First off, this is an online-only game. So all control over your account is on EA's end. Second, you only get one character slot for this game. Most online-only games give you at least a couple. The Secret World gave me 3. I think Diablo 3 gives you 12. But no, here I just get 1. Third, you may not delete this character slot. So if you want to start over, tough shit. And finally, once you play through the main campaign, you can't go back and play it again. Nor can you watch the cutscenes again. I am dead serious. So once you've played through the story, that's it. You're never going to see it inside this game again. And if that's not enough, if you want to replay levels again, it's like a slot machine. When you play through the game the first time, each level has its own theme. Like you start off in this asteroid field station, then move on to this forest and swamp planet, then an ice planet, and so on. Well, no, not anymore. Now you only choose the enemy level you want to play at, and the location you get is random. If you've beaten this game, there is no way to see it again normally a second time. If I had known that, I would have recorded the game the first time I played through it. But I didn't. So I'm just gonna have to do my best to explain it and rip off the cutscenes from Let's Players who did happen to grab them. I've never seen something like this before. Actually, I guess I have in one other game called One Chance. In that game, you have one chance to save the world. Which I'd like to point out I did. I saved the world because I know how to do that. This is what it looks like. But anyway, in that game, it's the whole gimmick. In Darkspore, I can't fathom why they set the game up this way. That really seems to be a theme in this game. Questionable decisions. Speaking of which, let's talk about the story. The story in Darkspore, well, it's not good, but it's impressive in an odd way. Okay, I should let everyone know I have not played Spore. Darkspore is obviously meant to be a side game to Spore. Now, to the best of my knowledge, there's not really any story to Spore. You just sort of design aliens and get them to evolve and do things. I mean, what's the story to The Sims? People live in a house and do things. There you go. So I was never that interested in Spore because I'm not huge on management games unless I really like the theme, but EA decided to take a second pass for people like me. An action RPG where you go around as aliens killing everything to save the galaxy or something that's darker or more sinister? Yeah, I'll bite. So this left Darkspore in weird territory because now they needed to make up lore for a game that doesn't have any. But I'm guessing they didn't want anything too committed in case they wanted to give the franchise an actual story later. So the story is a blend of vague references, technobabble, and obfuscation to make it sound like something is happening.
There were 5 methods of DNA transfection.
Transfection.
Each infused with the intrinsic properties of the planets they were discovered on.
Yeah.
Rare combinatorics yielded genetic heroes.
Combinatorics. That actually is a real word. I didn't know that. Not that they're using it to mean anything.
The greatest achievement in transfection, prized above all else.
Yeah!
But creating them was not enough. Means were sought by which to make them even more powerful.
Sure, why not?
Progenitor Xylan discovered the power of exponential DNA, eDNA. It promised to bring transfection to unprecedented heights.
Okay, did you catch that, guys? A quick recap. Progenitor Xylan discovered the power of exponential DNA, also known as eDNA. I hope that clears things up for you.
They slaughter the progenitors who given them life.
Yeah, the whole story is like this. The short version is alien geneticists made Darkspore, which are apparently bad, and they spread to different worlds, so you have to kill them. What's odd is that they show the Darkspore looking, dark and evil looking in these cutscenes, but in the game, they look like they could be any random alien. They don't look inherently evil at all. So anyway, the story is mostly nonsense, but there's a fair chunk of it. You get these cutscenes for every planet you visit. Maybe even some extra ones. I can't remember. Now, I said I was impressed by this because they made a whole story to this game that says nothing. That actually takes more work than just coming up with a story. What this reminds me of is in college, you'll inevitably get an assignment where you have to write a lot about nothing. If you go to college, you may have to write a paper on a question that can be answered in 3 sentences or less. So literally everything of value you could say could be covered in 3 sentences. Just to make up an example, a paper could ask, why does it rain? Well, water evaporates as steam from the sun, then it cools off once it gets higher in the atmosphere until it condenses into liquid, then it's too heavy, so it rains. Done. Well, that's nice, except the assignment will require you to write 4 or 5 pages answering the question. That's when you have to word your sentences in the longest way possible and try to think of every completely unimportant detail you can think of, or just speculate blindly without making it sound like that's what you're actually doing, just to fill in those pages. That is exactly what the story to Darkspore feels like to me. A college student trying to make nothing sound like something. And it's a shame because it looks like there are things happening here. I'll never know for sure. So let's look at the game. Now, one of the first things that jumped out to me about this game is how bloody it is. You kill these aliens and man, you can see it. I don't have a problem with this. I just think it's funny because this is exactly the kind of game you could get away with for not showing red blood. You're not some guy with a machete hacking up cultists to try and rescue his girlfriend. You're an alien fighting other aliens on alien worlds. They could make the blood green or dark purple. No one would think anything of it. They're aliens. They can be anything you want. But nope. A lot of Darkspore bleed red and leave red bloodstains. Works for me. Anyway, my impression of the gameplay is that it's not awful, but not good either. The way it works is you have one hero character active at a time. It has 1 passive ability and 3 active abilities. But you can swap between it and 2 other heroes who have their own abilities. You can't upgrade these abilities. Everything's tied to the hero. Plus, besides using mana, almost all the abilities have a cooldown to them also. I don't like cooldowns. Don't tell me to cool down! In between missions, you swap out your heroes with other heroes you can unlock, and they have their own abilities. The fixed abilities and cooldowns and roster of heroes makes this feel kind of like a MOBA. The gameplay never won me over. This probably won't show up on the video, but it doesn't feel satisfying. It's like there's this very slight delay to all your attacks. And on top of that, the damage frequently feels too low. The only time the combat gets satisfying is when I've triggered some of the better abilities, but even then I have to wait on the cooldown to do it again. The gameplay never feels bad, but there's some invisible layer I can't describe that makes me not like it. Like if you were stuck on an Arctic research base and this was the only game you had to play, it's enjoyable enough, but that would never happen because this is an online-only game. You can download others. But there's more to the gameplay than this. Okay, let me try to explain this without sounding like a crazy person. Each character has a specialization: strength, dexterity, or mind. Next, we have character affinities. No, excuse me, genesis types. This is an extra theme of the character. So plasma people look fiery, bio people look plant-like, etc. But this also means that enemies that have this affinity, genesis type, are resistant to damage from characters that have the same one. So I shouldn't have my robot fight other robots or my plant people fight other plants. And you never know what enemies you'll be facing until it's too late. So they want you to have a variety in your roster. So this is adding to the complexity, but once you get to the inventory, that's where everything goes to hell. During missions, you can pick up gear that enemies drop, then equip it once you're back on the ship. Now this creates a mess because in addition to those other specializations, only certain heroes can use certain items. Some heroes can only have staffs, others get equipped with rocket launchers, some can only have weird claw feet. It's this seemingly endless specialized gear on top of the Genesis type. Furthermore, some items are compatible between different heroes. So that means if you want to swap a hero out, you may want to remove all his gear first because your new hero can maybe use that more effectively. And of course, you need to decide how to prioritize between lots of different stats for the equipment that does fit per slot. And this gear is not obvious. Like a fighter gets a sword, an archer gets a bow. No. Think quick. Which hero should get the rarefied alpha deflector of intuition, and which should get the electron olfacto sensor of the sentinel? And don't forget, I have about 20 heroes to outfit that the game is encouraging me to swap out, especially if I have better gear to suit them. I can't keep track of all this. I found it paralyzing and not fun to deal with at all. There's too many layers of complexity that you have to sift through just to improve your character, and they want you doing a lot of it. Even Dungeon Siege wasn't this bad. They've overcomplicated what's normally a pretty simple process in action RPGs. Okay, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like some games will take a proven formula and change things not because it's more fun, but because it's different. Then when they do press release talks, they focus on these small little differences like that's the most important thing, rather than just present the game for what it is. I'm not against innovation, but some ideas really feel like it's the developer saying, look at me, I'm different, and that's it. I personally would rather have a game done right that rips off gameplay of another good game than one that throws in gimmicks for no other reason than just to stand out. Darkspore really feels like that latter category, since I didn't feel like any of these changes from the Diablo formula added to the fun. You know what would have been fun? If instead of this tag team crap, they just let me fight with all 3 aliens at once. I would like this game a lot more if they would let me do that. It would make me care a lot more about the ability, cohesion, and everything. I'll transfix your combinatorics, bitch! Ah well. You may have noticed it already, but like the last episode, I think the real star of this game is the environment. These alien worlds you go to are great. Some of them are a visual feast. If I was an interstellar space traveler and couldn't make my way back to Earth, I'd be tempted to settle down on a planet like this. Or maybe this one. I really think this is the best aspect of the game. So that's the game. You go from planet to planet and beat up aliens in a somewhat unsatisfying manner, have a convoluted upgrade system, and repeat. I'm still not sure what happened, but at the end you beat the boss, which I guess stops the Darkspore from spreading? You'd think if it was billions of life forms spreading from system to system, that wouldn't be enough. But whatever, you win. But uh-oh, the bad guy's helmet flickers back on. Ba-ba-bum. Okay, I promised some twists, so let's get things knotted up properly. I said you can still play this game. That's currently true, but wow, this game has taken a winding path. Back in 2013, 2 years after launch, there was some mess in the servers. Multiple news sites reported the game as dead. Then EA came out and said, whoops, we just had an error. Everything's fine. And the game came back up. Although during this time, EA decided to stop selling the game online. So Darkspore became an online-only game that you could only buy physical copies of. That has to be one of the most backward business models I've ever heard of. When I heard that, I knew this game was on death watch. Nobody stopped selling copies of a game they want to live. So last year, I bought a physical copy and played through the game because I felt like something was coming. I was going to make this episode be a warning that something fishy was going on, and maybe you should take a look at this game while it's still up. Well, EA beat me to it, so there's no subtlety to this at all anymore. 2 months ago, EA announced that they're shutting down this game starting March 1st. So right now, if you're watching this video new, you have a couple weeks to hunt down a physical copy of this and play it before this game is dead forever. I'm sorry for not giving more notice on this. I didn't even find out about it until this month. The bitch of it is, I was looking for news on this. See? Darkspore. Nothing new. Silly me, I assumed if the gaming press was reporting on its fake death back in 2013, there would be news on the real thing. I only found out about it by going to their shutdown page directly. No gaming news site reported on this. I got blindsided. If you want to play this game, hurry. This has to be one of the weirdest gaming situations I've heard of, where you have to participate in a virtual gold rush to get physical copies of the game so you can play it online before it's gone forever. To quote a famous historical figure, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Now the good news is you'll have to buy copies from third-party retailers. So that means none of your money will go to EA. Although if you're watching this after February, you're screwed. I'm sorry. Oh look, their terms of service have changed. Yeah, I bet they have. Now if you've seen the Battleforge episode, this is practically a sequel to that. And guess what? My mind hasn't changed about killing games since I made that. I think killing games is the worst thing a game company can do. And once again, there's no good reason this should be happening. This is a single player game that EA forced to put on their online servers, and now they're killing it. Oh, and they killed Maxis, the developer, too. Kill, kill, kill. Darkspore is a real bastard case, too, because honestly, I think this is a slightly above average game, but that's it. Again, I would be pissed if I never had a chance to play it, but it's not Hall of Fame material for me. But that shouldn't matter. I shouldn't have to make a defense for a game not getting the death penalty. But here it is anyway. While I think the gameplay is mediocre, when you kill a game, you're killing everything. The atmosphere in this game is great. Look at this planet here. Killing this game is an art crime. Plus, you never know what's going to influence someone. Maybe an artist really likes how some of these plants look, and they're going to come up with their own ideas based on that. Maybe another designer wants a torus-shaped force field containing fragments of a destroyed homeworld orbiting space station platforms in their game. Or hey, how about the music? Most of the tracks here I thought were forgettable, but some of them I really liked. I saw one site actually rate each of the tracks. So there you go, now you know which are the good ones. Thankfully, the music will survive the death of this game since somebody cares about the work that went into this. And who knows, maybe a desperate college student would copy the Darkspore storyline and turn it in hoping to get half credit for an assignment. The point is, this game still has merit, even if it isn't amazing as a whole. You never know what people are going to do in the future. One company has converted Need for Speed Most Wanted to work in virtual reality. That's awesome! You lose everything like that when you kill a game. It's just dick-headed decisions that are killing off this game. It's actually making me rethink some things. Like, I'm starting to think of piracy now like bacteria. A lot of it kills you, but some of it is necessary. Because guess what? This game has enjoyed a 0% piracy rate. No one has ever pirated this game. And now it's going to die. Oh sure, there are videos and sites claiming to have a crack for Darkspore, but they're lying. The game doesn't work that way. They're probably just trying to give you a virus. Again, this is what the future for almost every online-only game looks like. Congratulations, we defeated piracy. Now you never get to play your games again. No one is thinking about the Darkspore babies! Honestly, this shit scares me as a gamer. If it was just Darkspore and just Battleforge, I could live with them dying, but no, it's gonna keep going. It will be a gaming tragedy when the Secret World dies, and that's not going to be the last great online-only game. EA recently announced they plan on trying a rental system for their games, so you can pay per month to play the games without owning anything. Jesus Christ, how long until that's their policy for all their games? And they can just shut them down whenever they feel like it. And I've said this before, but once again, Electronic Arts is the master of irony. Just a few weeks ago, EA Senior Marketing Director for Origin, Peter O'Reilly, reported how they wanted to regain the trust of PC gamers. So they're asking how they can regain our trust while the knife is still in their hand stabbing someone. That's some impressive mental gymnastics, EA. Also, when I logged in to make this episode, I discovered EA upgraded my copy of Darkspore to the limited edition. Fucking wow. Okay, here are the awards. You know, I don't want this episode to just be a repeat of Battleforge, because I hate making episodes like this. So I have a surprise ending for you. I thought about this a long time, and I want to take things in a new direction. In Battleforge, I said how this was mostly just a lament, because I felt powerless to change anything about the situation. That's still mostly true, but then I also realized we can be a complete pain in the ass. Electronic Arts is causing me grief with every game they kill. I can't help it. It's this visceral reaction I feel in my gut when they do this. And I realize there are way more important things than this, but not in gaming. And EA is not the only company that does this, but by God are they the leader. So I want to communicate this to them. It's obvious the Battleforge video didn't do anything, because now they're killing Darkspore. So that means I need to try harder to get this message across. No, I need your help for this part, guys. Otherwise, this won't go anywhere. It's not going to be hard, though, I promise. My plan is I want to bombard EA executives with message after message asking them to stop killing games. And I especially want this done with physical mailed letters. Now, you might think that's outdated and really old-fashioned, but the thing is, that's a lot harder to ignore. If you come into work and have 500 letters on your desk, that gets your attention. And there's more too, but I'll get to that in a second. Okay, there are three main parts to this operation. The first is for wannabe detectives only. I want you to hunt down and find the business mailing addresses of certain EA executives. Thankfully, they list a lot of the executives on their website. Now, believe it or not, I think we should mostly avoid contacting the CEO. You might think that's weird, but CEOs are busy people. Now, that doesn't mean I think he's worth $13.9 million a year, but he's probably a busy guy. But vice presidents? Hell yes, they have time. Their job is to deal with the stuff the CEO doesn't have time for. That's us. Now, because this is a YouTube video, I can't exactly patch this. So the names I'm going to show may become outdated. But if you get me the business mailing addresses of any executive who might listen, I will post them in the description of this video and update it. Now, we want to pick our targets carefully. Accounting officer, no, he won't care. Marketing officer, yes. Financial officer, no. Business and legal affairs, hell no. Peter Moore, oh yes. He's old guard. He's the one who took offense at EA winning the Worst Company in America award. He also dared people to boycott EA. We absolutely want to get his attention. This may surprise you, but I actually agree with him in that I think EA is not the worst company in America. In his letter to the consumerist, he lists several better candidates. But they are the worst game company. They're a game company that kills its own games and stops them from being played or sold. How can you beat that? Okay, these other people are all maybes, but we do not want to forget about Peter O'Reilly. After all, he wants to know what EA can do to regain our trust. He doesn't know. Well, let's tell him. Preferably several thousand times. So that's step number one. I want business mailing addresses of any executive at EA who might listen. Or, if you're more familiar with the company, the addresses of anyone else in management who might have some influence. Once we have those, I'll put them in the description of the video, and then it's time for phase 2. I want everyone who even remotely cares about this to send them a mailed, stamped letter asking them to stop killing games. Tell them you want them to stop making online-only games that they intend to shut down so that customers can never play them again. It's a destructive and disrespectful practice, and they will never regain the trust of gamers as long as they keep doing this. It makes them look like they don't believe in their own products. Now, I'm being generous. I'm not even going to ask them to resurrect the games they've already killed. I'm only going to ask them to stop killing future ones. Now, if you're too lazy to write a letter up, no problem. I'm including a form letter you can print out and send to them. Just sign your name on it. If you want to write your own letter instead, go for it. That would be even better. But no actual thinking is necessary if you don't want to go the extra mile. Now, you don't have to, but I really encourage you to put a return mailing address just to let them know you're an actual person. In this age of the internet, just the fact that you got up out of your chair and went all the way over to the mailbox might really surprise them. They can ignore angry Reddit posts or online petitions all day. But a letter actually mailed to them at their desk? They'll think, holy shit, these people are real? Now, if you live way outside the USA and the letter will cost you a lot, I don't want to put any financial strain on anyone. But for anyone who cares about this, please send them a letter. That's the most important part of this operation. Now, once we've mailed the letters, then we can move to phase 3, which is everything else we can think of. We can try their business emails, Twitter, Facebook. There's probably more stuff I haven't even thought of. Though it's tricky because they could just set up a spam filter to delete any email or message with the word Darkspore in it. You are easier to ignore online. That's why the letters are so important. But think outside the box too. Maybe you know someone more influential than me who would be better at spreading this message. I want whatever gets them to stop killing games. Hey, in the future, if they stop killing games, but then the internet looks back and says PewDiePie is where this all started, that's fine. I am fine with that. Hell, I don't even want to be the leader on this, but nobody else seems to be stepping up. The gaming press sure doesn't seem to care about games dying, so here I am. If any of you manage to get in touch with EA, you are welcome to refer them to me. Here's my email. I'll talk to them. Now, before people get too riled up, I do want to say that I do not want employees at EA to be doxxed or threatened or have their personal lives made hell. I realize that asking the internet not to ruin someone who may have it coming can be a little like asking the Punisher to take it easy on someone, but there are reasons for this. First, we don't know who is really responsible for killing the games. EA is a giant corporation. It could be anyone. We hope to be contacting executives. For all we know, they're playing paper football all day and aren't even aware these games are dead. One of them might get these letters and say, oh my god, I met my first wife playing Madden 97. We can't kill our old games. I'll put a stop to this immediately. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Second, executives come and go. A lot of games at EA died under this guy's watch, and he's not there anymore. If you go after someone personally, they might not even be there in 6 months. But EA will. It's the company as a whole that's the problem. So let's take the fight to the job positions. The individuals are temporary. So don't send me the executive's personal info. I want the business contacts. Finally, even if you want to be vengeful, which I don't, I just want the problem solved, I doubt they would care. Corporate executives are sort of like the modern aristocracy. You're not going to scare them. The only thing they care about are lost profits and sometimes bad PR. Well, we won't win on profits. Gamers are god-awful at boycotts. EA could release a new Madden game that is just a box filled with dog biscuits, and it would still be a bestseller. As for bad PR, the gaming press seems to not care about this issue, so we probably won't win on that either. EA is not scared of you. Your threats have no weight. But you know what? We can be a buzzing mosquito in their ear that just won't die. If EA even acknowledges the existence of gamers who hate them killing games, that will be more than what we have now. Again, the letters are the most important thing. We'll keep mailing them too. If EA doesn't commit to ending this practice, I'll have a reminder to contact them every time I cover an EA game in the future. Maybe more frequently. I don't know if this will fix games dying. Honestly, this is all a long shot. But being a royal pain in the ass that makes EA executives dread coming into work, that I think we might be able to do. Okay, that's the episode. Darkspore left a scar on me. I hope we can return the favor. Stay tuned for the next episode for a game not by EA to see aliens that make us look bad. And seriously, check back here later for those addresses. Ah? Ah?
Die verstreuten Inseln des Nexus wimmeln von quantengenetischen Darkspore.
I think the story might be better in German.
Ihre Spezialität sind Teleportation und die Manipulation von